News Radio 700 WLW.
So you probably heard about ChatGPT. ChatGPT. It is AI, artificial intelligence. And it's making a big splash because a lot of people in academia are afraid that it will lead to either plagiarism or just flat out ripping off somebody else's thoughts. It all depends on what was programmed into GPT than what it actually spits out. I mean, you can only program so much, but you could almost see where this is going. More and more robotics are taking over all kinds of workplaces. The assembly line, certainly in medicine and surgery, robotic medicine is huge now. But where is ChatGPT taking us? And in particular, where is it taking the workforce? Would you be comfortable with a robot being your voice? According to a report, 70% of us are using some sort of AI in our lives, Alexa, Siri, whatever it may be. But it turns out a lot of workers in this report think that AI will make their personal and professional lives a lot better. So being that is the case, and certainly understanding that ChatGPT is probably just the tip of the iceberg with all of this AI, would it not make sense, if you run a company, to have some sort of AI czar inside your company? Cyber supervisor. Standing by to weigh in on this is somebody that knows how to run a business. Joel Patterson has run many. In fact, he heads up a group called the Vested Group, and they're lined up out the door and down the street to work for Joel. And he joins us here now on 700 WLW to talk about cyber supervisors. Joel, how are you on this glorious Wednesday?
I am doing well, Ken. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Do you have a robot bossing you around at the Vested Group?
I do not yet, but I am working on it. And I'll tell you, if you haven't found a way to leverage ChatGPT in your business, you're already behind. It really has gotten to the point where just about any industry could leverage the capabilities, even if it's just something as simple as doing some of the mundane things that you have to do on a daily basis. Personally, we're using it very heavily in our marketing department because it allows you to take, say, 5 articles and upload it and summarize it, all with information that is new and current. Now, it's a draft, right? It's not like you can just automatically start using all this stuff day one, but it sure gets rid of those emails and things that you hate writing, that you have to write over and over again. You can make quick work of that stuff.
Okay, so I'm looking here on this list is how, and you mentioned some of them, of how it can make an employee's job better or a manager's job better, setting goals, tracking progress, generating performance evaluations, which I always found when I had to do those things, they were just tedious and time-consuming, but it can assist in generating performance evaluations, providing a clear and detailed overview of an employee's performance. This sounds like a tool that can be used to streamline a lot of the things that consume time on task at a job. Am I right here?
You are, and I think that's a great example. Think about when you've given a review. It's not very fun usually to put those together because a lot of times it's just wordsmithing and figuring out the right way to communicate it. That's not going to upset anyone and is encouraging and does the things it needs to do. Well, you could just type in a few bullet points into ChatGPT of what you think, just words on the screen. Don't have to worry about what it actually sounds like, and then let ChatGPT rewrite that for you. So you're still doing the work of the human that, somebody's got to be able to make decisions and interact with people. But wow, not having to sit there and really think through the appropriate way, because you could even say, write this review in such a way that a 5-year-old can understand it. And it will change the tone and tenor of that email. And you'd be shocked at how much time that can save you all by itself. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've done performance reviews for some people that had the emotional level of a 5-year-old. So, yeah, that would be great. But, Joel, it's interesting. The information that's going into ChatGPT, where is it coming from? Somebody has to put the information in. It's not ChatGPT is only as good as what's put into it. Where is that coming from?
Well, I'm not an expert on ChatGPT by any stretch, but I have spent quite a bit of time with it now. And they're releasing the data model updates over time. So like when this thing was first released in November, they were using a data model. I believe it was from like 2017. It might have been 2019, but it was previous. It didn't know anything about COVID, as an example.
Sure.
But as they have updated things, it's more and more with live data, and how it works is the amazing part of it, right? I don't know. I don't know how it pulls all that data in, but when it's generating content, that content is not stolen from somewhere else. It's generated at that moment. You can do things we did one the other day where we said, hey, explain this to me or rewrite this, summarize this article and repeat it to me in the tone or voice of Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction. And it will do that. And it's a remarkable how accurate it seems if Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction was actually communicating that article. It's really limitless.
How many F-bombs were in it?
At least 4.
But I understand, look, hey, this is where we're going. We're going to AI, and anybody, as you say, that doesn't embrace the concept is behind the 8 ball, and any company that's not using ChatGPT at this point is really giving ground to their competitors. But there are things that could go wrong, and the one thing I worry about, and I think it's part of where we are with social media today, and if this is the next step, is it's lack of nuance, it's lack of body language, it's lack of just what really is behind the words. How do you get through that? For example, I mean, let's say you're again doing a performance review, and let's say you use Samuel L. Jackson to do his voice and his intonation to do a performance review. That could be a problem because people are wondering, what the hell am I listening to here?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's a tool. People have to view that this is just another tool in the kit that you have available to you. You can't just say, all right, well, this thing knows everything, so it's always going to make good decisions. It doesn't understand context. You can teach it some context, but at the end of the day, it's not a person.
Sure.
You can't. It's not necessarily going to be able to make decisions with right and wrong. And so people, they've got to, again, look at it as a tool, a very valuable tool that they can, if they really invest in learning how to interact with it, how to ask the questions, how to feed it information. I mean, this is free too. So if people don't realize it, they can go out there, sign up, and do this all they want. It's actually pretty entertaining. It's one of the few times where technology can be fun for everybody, because a lot of times people tune out, right?
Yeah.
But you've got to look at it as just another step. I mean, we've been using this stuff forever. If you think back to spell check and Grammarly, I mean, it's all similar technologies, and if you just got to get on board and figure out, all right, how do we leverage this in a way that makes sense to our personal and professional lives? But again, looking at it as just another input to what we've got to figure out on our own.
Yeah, and I'm sure you well know there's great concern inside of academia about plagiarism and whatnot, and I would think that could be a problem too in businesses. Got to be careful. And confidentiality, too. You don't want any proprietary information getting out where anybody can access it, let alone everybody that has access to ChatGPT. So it's great that you have it, but it's not like you can just plug and go. You've got to ride herd on this thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You've got to be an adult about it, because it can still give you some bias, give you bad information. I mean, there's plenty of people out there that are actively trying to get it to mess up. So you can do that. But if you just take a little bit of a reasonableness test when you consider what it outputs, then I think you'll find most of the information is pretty useful.
So, and again, you would have to be, we're chatting with Joel Patterson. Joel's always a great guest. He's with the Vested Group. He understands the workplace and how it operates, just not for management, but for the rank and file and the people that get down and get dirty and get the work done. You would have to be some sort of soothsayer, some sort of psychic to know where all of this is going. I fear, I keep coming back to the movie The Terminator, but I fear that we're getting to a point where all of these robotics and all of this AI is wonderful, but I fear like that these robots and this artificial intelligence may really disrupt the workforce to a point where jobs are being eliminated. I know you can't put toothpaste back in the tube, but I just don't know where all of this is going. You sound like you think it's a good direction. Is it a good direction we're going on with all this?
And there's a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me that discuss that pretty intensely. I just look at it like it is inevitable, and we've got to embrace it and figure out how to make it work for us and how to get those potential risks off the table. But I just look at it like it's the next evolution. You know, you think about electric cars, or you think about an iPad. I still am blown away that I can lay in bed at night with this little thin monitor and order any movie in the world. 20 years ago, we couldn't do that. Was just in movies. So whatever we want to do with it, whether we like it or not, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be there. So let's figure out a way to make it work for us.
Yeah, amen. And it's free, right? ChatGPT is free. Why would they not charge for something? Why wouldn't the people that came up with this charge money for it?
They're starting to. Actually, it's the struggle now is actually getting access, because it's overloaded a lot of the time. And so there is a paid version. I think it's like $20 a month that gives you immediate access. So they're starting to monetize it, but it's coming. I'm sure of that.
Yeah. It is fascinating if you spend any time on it, just what it can do and what it can't do, and you could just see that it's the tip of the iceberg as to what this is going to be all about. Joel, you can find Joel at thevested.com, TheVested, thevested.com. Always great catching up with you. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Stay well.
Thanks, Ken. You do the same.